I do want to get to a few comments we have a bunch of comments here, which is great. There was two that were my favorite though. Tyler DeMuro said I'm just here for Bob to rip the Mets. And then later on, we had a guy who showed up. Here's Ryan. He said, "Did I miss Bob burying the Mets yet?" So I mean, I
didn't know that was like the draw of the show.
I mean, it's got the draw of the show. I mean, were you hate watching yesterday?
Yeah, I was more interested in the Mets' demise over the weekend than anything that the Phillies were doing, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. And it was unbelievable. Let's say Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez and all these guys like put the bow on it, like the eulogy of that team. What a gutless bunch of losers. Like, and I know you sniffed it out. You're really the guy that should be doing this because you're the one that was calling it from the tip. But just a 3.5 month death march. Like The best thing about it is that, and I know that like Twitter or X isn't real life, but it's funny to watch Mets fans. Like I've seen this, like I'm like, well, what's the reactions? And I don't just mean like that Frank the Tank guy from Barstool, but I'm like actual Mets fans. Like, what does this look like? What are these people thinking right now? And you have the certain group that's going after Cohen. Like you promised us that we'd be a winner. We're 5 years into this thing. It's been largely embarrassing. A DS win over the Phillies was like the apex of this 5-year tenure thus far. But there are people out there that are actually working themselves into the belief that, you know what? It was never really about this season. It was about bridging it towards the future. You had a run last year. Look at all these young arms coming up. McLean. We're going to continue to spend and be aggressive. It's not a big deal. You went out and spent $1 bazillion this year to you passed the Phillies last year in the race. And then this year was about staying on top and kind of dropping the hammer. We're the New York Mets. We're Steve Cohen. We have all the money in the friggin' world. We signed Juan Soto to a 27-year contract. And we're going to beat the shit out of everybody in this division for the rest of the 2020s, the 2030s. Juan Soto is going to have 5 rings. It's going to be awesome. And you did that. You lost 2 out of 3 to the Marlins with all the chips on the table. And in 2 of those losses, you couldn't have looked any more pathetic. They looked disinterested on Friday night. Yep. They didn't even look like they wanted to play on Friday night. So enjoy McLean and enjoy the future. Talk yourselves into 26 being different. It's not going to be different.
This is the content we pay for, Bob PSU Flyers says. Tyler,
you hear me. You hear how pumped up I am saying that? Like, imagine actually caring about that team beyond wanting to see them fail. Like, imagine being a good fan. Can you imagine if that was the Phillies, what we'd be doing right now? Oh, my God.
Tyler says Eagles into the Mets collapse into Micah versus Dallas was an all-time hate watch day.
Yeah.
And then Robert
watching
Mallard,
Eagles second half offense into the hate watch too, actually.
And then Robert Mallard says, I've been listening to New York Sports Talk and Mets podcasts all day. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, look, like, you know what? The thing is, to be honest, like, to be perfectly objective and in fairness, like, the Mets have some good things. Like,
yes,
they have some young pitching that I would feel good about. Like, I would talk myself into that being a positive for the future, no question. But at the end of the day, it's hard because you're the Mets. And no matter what you have in terms of all of your parts, you're probably going to fuck it up.
Yeah.
How's that? I hope that's
great. And as SJK says, I'm usually not the Schadenfreude type, but I'm loving the Mets right now. And I know you gave me credit, right? Because I said it from the jump that I didn't believe in the Mets at all this year. I don't know. I was wrong about the Braves, right? I believed in the Braves and they fell apart, right? But so I guess I was right about the Mets. But the thing that I didn't like about the Mets, and this is what I'm going to find the most interesting thing with them as we do their play taps and on their 2025 season right now. Like, I think that their GM sucked this year, David Stearns.
Yeah,
I really do, Bob. Like,
he's very well regarded. I was afraid when they made that hire that he'd be the guy that it's like everything he touches turns to gold. And his trade deadline was an absolute disaster.
Well, I want to go back to the offseason. So they make the run. Yeah. They make the run that they do, right? Last year, get to the NLCS, the whole OMG stuff, right? Great. All right. Exciting. Then they signed Soto. So now you're like, all right, the Mets are all in at this point. And then they came into the season with a starting staff of Frankie Montas, Sean Manaea, Thenga, what's his name? David Peterson. They went out and
David Peterson.
Yeah, they got Clay Holmes and turned him into a starting pitcher. Like they kind of mishmashed it. Like they didn't go get a guy. And then once they started to fall apart in June, the pitching, rather than go and get the starting pitcher that he so desperately needed, which at the best guy that was traded was Merrill Kelly, who was pretty good for the Texas Rangers, after getting traded there. He instead said, nah, we'll turn it over to 3 rookies. They'll be fine. And we'll just bolster the bullpen. And all the bullpen guys, except for Rogers, sucked. Like
in a way, like it's not a totally pure comparison, but it's sort of like because the 2019 Phillies didn't have the run to like precede it. But in a way, it sort of feels like that to an extent. There's like a lot of hype. There's a lot of optimism. You go out and you get Harper. You go out and get Real Muto. And you have an adult lineup all of a sudden after years of just crap. And it wasn't met with the necessary starting pitching to be a true contender. Like it just wasn't. And you're relying on a lot of unproven parts and washed up vets to kind of make it work. And then they got serious, then became Wheeler and then more pitching developed and they've gotten to where they are now. And that's the only thing I could say for the Mets is that you go like, hey, they wouldn't be the first team in the history of the world to go out and make a huge, huge splash, big money splash, and then not get the immediate result. They have work to do, though. I mean, it was a bad offseason. And like a lot of teams, I think that they got a little bit caught up in their own success and a little bit of their own, the magic of what they did for a little bit in October last year. And I think that may have influenced the way that they proceeded in the offseason. And what's really weird is when you go back, like if you just jump on Fangraphs, look at the starting pitching through the first 2 months of the season, the Mets were top 3 in every single category. I mean, it was like, I was saying at the time, I'm like, it's like voodoo magic. It's like dark arts. Like, how are they even doing this? And then, the inevitable, I guess, what you felt was inevitable happened.
Yeah, and in game 162, and I'm going to take a shot at their manager, Carlos Mendoza, here for a minute.
You fired him?
Well, here's the thing, Bob. Game 162, you have to win it to make the postseason. You have to win. And you basically bullpen game it. And not only do you bullpen game it, but you're bringing Edwin Diaz in the 5th inning because you're so desperate. I know they're down 4 at that point, and they want to keep it right there. But you have nobody else. What if you come back and tie that game? Who's closing that out for you? Right? Like, I mean, you couldn't have a starter ready to go that could get you 5 innings at bare minimum on the game that you needed to win the most at the end of the year?
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. I think the only reason why I'm not all in just like terms of leveling them is because of what awaits the Phillies in a little less than a week from now, because you can celebrate the Mets' demise, but the Phillies are going to have some really hard questions to answer themselves if they don't play well in a 5-game series. You could be looking at massive changes. And for whatever joy that you felt from the Mets collapse, it will be overshadowed by the disappointment and probably disgust that you'll have for this Phillies team.